I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the Town of Roxbury Town Board, October 11th. Just briefly, as we've discussed at every meeting, during the regular meeting, there will be no comments from the public. We will have an open comment period at the end of our regular committee department reports, and at that point, anybody from Zoom who is interested in commenting, please notify through the chat that you are interested in making a comment. We will take comments in the order that we receive them. Same thing for anybody in the meeting or in the room with us. We will take comments in the order that we receive them, and I ask that everybody hold your comments until we reach the discussion point at the end of our regular committee meetings. That being said, there are agendas up here if anybody needs them. There's a couple left here.
Thank you.
Okay, we have minutes from 3 different meetings. First was our regular meeting on September 13th. Was our last regular meeting. Next one was our meeting for short-term rentals on September 22nd. And the third was a special meeting for our budget workshop held on October 5th. You've received the minutes from all of these meetings. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the minutes? Have a resolution to accept the minutes.
I'll make the resolution.
Anybody second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll go into the department reports, and we will start with Mike Harrington. He is here for Lamont. Go through some of the water and sewer project updates.
Do that. I think I'm really here mostly just to say hi because
Hi.
I don't know that there's
I like
like you guys.
Hi.
Because there's really not a lot of new items. You can see the progress on the new well field building for the Roxbury Grand Gorge water project. I don't know if anyone's been up to the spring site, but that building is just starting to come out of the ground. They have the foundation in up there, and they'll be working on the pouring the slab soon, and then the building walls will go up. So hopefully we'll see a lot of things take even more shape over the next month or so. I guess I'll step back and just go back to Denver, the Denver water project. I did get some not so great news this afternoon, and that was that Hubble, who gave us the price for the well field access roads, and you guys approved those last month, now thinks they won't be able to get there till early December. So unfortunately, those well field roads that have been long overdue and we thought were going to be done at the end of October will not be done till December now. And we're just, I think, at the mercy of their contracts. I think they're doing a bunch of stuff for some of the flooding remediation work from the recent flooding. I just don't know there's much we can do because if you recall, in order to close the Denver water project long term, we had to almost pre-negotiate some change order work with Hubble. That gave us kind of an amount of money to work with, and we need to work with Hubble to do that, or else, if we went and hired a different contractor at this point, it wouldn't be deemed eligible. So unfortunately, I think we're stuck with that. And I don't know if the board has any real concerns with that other than maybe some frustration and disappointment, but and if there was something you wanted me to pursue with DOH to see if we could go a different route. But then again, in the big picture, with a couple months when we waited 4 years to do this.
So what, from just briefly, Mike, from what I recall, we're not able to really switch this contract to another contractor at this point either.
Right.
Because this is already a bid contract and it's under that contract, so we have to stay with them.
Right.
And I don't know, or I don't think that that's really that, is there anything that we're really holding up? I know Titan's gotta get in there and do some work, but they.
Well, it is holding up that check valve issue that
Yeah.
Titan says they can't get in there to check on those leaky check valves till the road's in, but who knows? Maybe it's dry enough now that they can get in without the roads being constructed. So I guess that's the only thing I'll do as a follow-up is say,
Okay.
Titan, can you guys get in there now? So,
Okay.
And start putting time limits on some of this stuff. On the contracts originally, from here on forward.
right. I mean, that piece of work just got funded and we knew they were kind of jammed up with schedule and we were stuck with this delivery mechanism at this point. So the only other item on Denver was the booster pump replacement, which I incorrectly identified as number 2 last month, but I understand you guys had a meeting between last month and this month and already approved that work, so check that box. Roxbury Grand Gorge, back to that. Again, I mentioned earlier the work on the 2 buildings, and I think kind of one of the next things you might see out there are the slabs being cast for the propane tank. That's actually formed right now, and then probably for the generator. The generator is on site, so they may look to set that in place pretty soon here. You'll be relative to the well field work. You're going to be looking at 2 pay applications this month, one from Evergreen and also the first one from Blizzard. And Blizzard's they really have only asked for their stored materials, which effectively is that generator and some bonds. They've actually done preparatory work under the slab, but they really haven't really charged for any of that yet.
So they haven't really billed for any of their labor, that's
No.
just the equipment
That's correct.
that they've got
Yeah.
on site.
Hubble, not contract 6 for Denver, but contract 7 for Roxbury Grand Gorge, also has a pay application this month, and this is for the change order replacement of the valve just below the reservoir. If you remember, we did that work through Hubble, but instead of creating a new contract, we added it to the work that was done for when they replaced the hydrants last year, if you remember that. So, let's see, next, just another update is, and this is my slowdown, the WQIP funding disbursement request I'm still working on that. Got the kind of the green light, like it looks okay from DEC, so it shouldn't be a problem. And just a reminder, once that money comes in from DEC, it's got to go right back to EFC, like within 10 days. You're getting a slightly better grant loan percentage with the WQIP, so it was worth it to some degree, but that'll be the mechanism, just so there's no surprises. The other thing I have to discuss with Kevin's office, and it's probably with Alyssa and maybe Kevin as well, are the easements for that existing transmission main up to the Roxbury Reservoir, all toward figuring out which is the best approach to replacing that main. So again, that's been put on the back burner, mostly just due to some other commitments I've had, but we'll be getting back to that shortly. Related to that transmission main, I think most of you probably know that the Kevin DePodwin reroute has been accomplished that was not part of the water project. The only related piece you could maybe point to is that valve replacement up at the reservoir. That was part of the project, but it was also it was just discovered because of Kevin DePodman's work but it was a necessary component of to fix.
And just to add, Kevin DePodman, as everybody remembers, that was on his cost. That was not a cost to the water district. The work he had down there.
Kind of foreshadowed design work for the water main replacement should begin shortly. I think our first focus will be that Roxbury Reservoir transmission main, but then we'll start looking at some of these areas in both Roxbury and Grand Gorge that have had leaks and repairs, and look at maybe determining if those are mains that you folks want to get replaced. But right now, I think the only mission that I've kind of gotten the green light on is that transmission main, because if you remember, we did the testing on it, and it was very hydraulically poor, which again came as no surprise to you folks who had to deal with the fire flows in the past. So,
And that's something else that we would look at including under the project when we get to a point where we can consider that.
exactly.
So
Exactly. Knock on wood, there's not been too many surprises with the well field work or the springs work. So I know there was one approach was to kind of make sure we got through that without any big surprises. But again, looks like we're doing okay there. So I think we've got the rest of the project money to spend if you want to. Of course, all those decisions on how much water main work are independent of anything else. You guys can either do them or not do them at your pleasure. So.
I wasn't up there when they did the work for Kevin DePodwin. How was that main where they broke it to change it around the house? Was it plugged pretty good, or was it loaded?
I didn't ask that question yet, and thank you for reminding me. But what we
I
did
meant to
learn,
ask Chris about it too, and I know he's not on tonight, but I wanted to just.
what we did learn was it just happened that where the reroute ended is where the 6-inch started.
Right, it went to 6
So there was this unknown of where the 8-inch, which starts at the reservoir and comes down, where that actually ended. Now we know. So that was a good find as a result of Kevin DePodwin's work.
Yeah, and I was curious what the condition of the inside of that pipe was going down through there. That would say a lot as to what we need to do.
Right, they would have had two looks at it. One when they did the valve
Right,
up above, and so we've got both Dave Cowan and Chris.
Yeah, I'll mention that to Dave as
to
well.
interview about
I haven't
that,
seen
yeah.
him since to ask him about it. But
Yeah, no, good point. Last thing on the list here for Roxbury Grand Gorge is just that EFC's had our waiver request for a little over 2 months now. I think it probably got lost in the shuffle, unfortunately, and that's actually holding up this last request, which includes a few of our invoices, but also one of Evergreen's payment applications. Usually EFC asks, hey, can we just release the money for the contractor or the ones that aren't in dispute? But they haven't even done that yet. So obviously, just for us to get paid a couple invoices, I'm not going to hold up the show much longer. But hopefully we'll hear something this week. And, if I get word tomorrow, Diane, that they'll release for Evergreen, even if we're held up another month, I think I'm going to say that's going to make sense to do, because I don't think we want to keep the contractors waiting. As much as I'd like the money to flow to us as well, I'd rather not hold up for the contractors. So
anybody have anything?
that's really it. Yeah.
That's it. Anybody have anything for Mike you want to go over? Okay.
I didn't itemize them on here, Diane, but we have the pre-approval for we need to get the NYSEG invoice paid. That's, I think
Already been sent out.
oh, you paid that? Oh,
It's already been sent out.
I thought that had to wait till tonight, but good, very good.
No, because we couldn't do anything until that went out, so we used funds that we had in there.
Great, well, that's, I mean, make it a pain for you, but I think that's probably good to get that moving, so. All right,
And just another note on water and sewer, we did receive a written report in your package from Chris Mattice. I believe we received one from Alex too, didn't we? For sewer?
He was supposed to be on, he was gonna either be here or be on.
And I don't see him on the list, so he may not be on. Well, if he gets on later, we'll
I
add him
didn't
to it.
forward his reports because he said he was gonna be
Yeah,
here.
I couldn't remember. I thought I heard that too, but
Alan, on the sewer, just, Alex had reached out to us about that manhole 11. I don't know whose property it is.
oh, Patrick, yeah.
Was that the owner of the property when the sewer project was done?
Yes,
That's a piece of
I
information that-
believe it was. He owned it then as well. I'm not 100% sure about that though. I looked at that with Chris and with Alec. They went and they popped that manhole cover up.
Mhm.
This is the one we're talking about where it's diverting floodwater down here by the Bridge Street. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. We have to get out there and actually look at it with an understanding of the problem, but
Right. What it is, the homeowner there has had an issue where this is the old Doc Moore's house, in case you guys are familiar. When they put the sewer system in 20 years ago, there's one manhole that is raised up in that back meadow, and they looked at it. I was down there with them the one day. There may be an issue. We were trying to figure out a way that maybe we could either lower that manhole or change the grade around it so that the floodwaters come back into the stream before going through the guy's garage in his backyard. And that's was kind of the gist of the problem. I know Alex could talk more about it, and if he's on, we'll ask him about it later. But,
we even reached out to Jeff Laban, who was
Right.
overseeing
Right.
most of that work,
there he is.
and he just remembers some fill going in there.
Yeah,
And so I assumed it was a new property owner, because it's been that way for the 20 years since the sewer went in, right?
yeah. It's been there, so it was built that way. But when I looked at the drawings, and we can take this offline, this isn't so good.
All right, there you go. I just wanted to let you know that, in case you didn't know, Alex did reach out to engineering. And
Yeah, and I haven't
You've
talked to
looked
Alex
into
about it
it.
since then. Guys, if you're gonna sit by the camera, just be very careful you don't bump it, because we kinda got it pointed the right direction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, it'd probably be better maybe on the other side. I should probably block those seats off. So,
We want to block the camera.
Is it still good?
no, that's good. It's still good now.
I just want to mention that if you're sitting near the camera, we're going to hear every word you say.
Nobody said anything yet, so we're good.
Everybody's quiet so far.
Just
Unless you
fair
want me-
warning.
Unless you want me to speak.
Alan, is there anything else you'd like me to stay for?
I think I'm good with anything, Mike. Anybody else have anything else? I think we're good, Mike.
Good seeing you, bud.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
All right, let's see that.
Okay, moving on. Bill, why don't you go? You've got to get up early.
Just regrading a bunch of our dirt roads that as needed, cleaning any ditches around on the roads that are needed. Starting to go through the trucks, getting them ready for winter. Started hauling in sand last week. Refreshing any signs that are needed, straightening them out, adding some new ones needed due to more traffic and so on. Pretty much that's about it. We received our Pave New York and EWR reimbursements from CHIPS, so that tomorrow I'll send out the remaining paperwork needed that I just got last week to get the rest of the CHIPS reimbursement. Other than that, that's about it.
Do you have anything for Bill?
That was pretty tough.
Yeah. My hello.
You don't need to buy like 5 trucks or anything.
No, I'll wait. Just on the list, I see the highway superintendent appointment of deputy highway superintendent.
Yes. Are we doing that tonight, or do you have those people in place, or that we can do that as a?
Yep. I was gonna make Ralph Sprague deputy and Steve Green the foreman.
The contract hasn't been changed for foreman yet.
No, so we gotta wait then to do
I'm
that?
just saying, it hasn't been changed, you haven't done anything with it.
Nope.
Now, what do we gotta do to change that?
We have to make an amendment, correct? So we'll table that.
Let's table that for tonight. Lindsay? Let me see if Lindsay's
Yep.
on.
Hi.
I think you guys gotta sign that.
Are you familiar about,
Right.
I did speak with Kevin briefly about that. We're looking at making a change to our highway contract. Bill wants to, instead of having just one deputy superintendent, he wants to have a deputy superintendent plus a foreman. And we're looking at making a change in our highway contract to do that. I'm not sure what we need to do legally to make that happen. I know it's a board resolution, but is there something you need to draft or anything?
We can draft the resolution for you and the amendment if you'd like.
That's probably the thing to do. We'll table it for tonight, and maybe Bill can get a hold of you or Kevin or somebody and work on what he needs in there.
Sure, yeah, because if
We'll
you want
look
to
at
take
it
a call
first.
tomorrow, that'd be great.
We'll look at it for our next meeting then.
So what are you gonna do about mechanic? Cause Ralph is mechanic.
Yeah, I'll do that all in one.
What does that mean?
You gonna change mechanic?
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't decided what I'm gonna do yet. Cause
Okay,
I've gotta talk to the guys yet.
So we'll table that for tonight.
Try to have that in order for next month's meeting.
Yeah.
Anything else for Bill, or anybody got anything to go over?
and if these go into effect now, I need rates. Is the deputy highway superintendent gonna change?
You already, I think he's already talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't do, okay.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know what to put in the resolution, cause I don't know what you're doing.
Well, I'll talk to Lindsay first and get what I need to do for the contract and go from there, right?
And then we'll look at it for a resolution for next month, to get it drawn up the way we need to. We have to,
Well, if you're doing the resolution to change, to amend the contract, you have to tell what the rates are gonna be.
Right. Right, will be part of the whole thing, I believe, right?
We already set the rates.
Yeah.
So Ralph's is effective immediately then?
No. I'll wait and get that. We'll just table it all till next month.
We'll table it till next month. The rates aren't gonna change until we do this.
What do you need from me,
resolution.
Diane? I don't understand. It's new to me.
It's your appointment of the deputy highway superintendent. So if you're appointing him, but the rate's gonna change, then I need the rate for what this is gonna be, but you haven't set any rates yet. It sounds like the deputy rate's gonna change.
Yes.
Okay.
So I gotta talk to her and get it my ducks in a row, I guess, before I can.
Right, and nothing will change until we do the amendment to the contract anyway, so it would be done all at once to adjust the rates.
Okay.
That's the way I understood it anyway.
I don't mean to be confusing, but if rates are gonna change and we don't have these in the contract, then there's no appointment tonight of a deputy.
No, we're not
No,
doing
we're
it tonight.
No, we're
No,
not,
we're
we're
tabling.
tabling it for tonight. Okay, anything else for Bill, anybody?
One week.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody have a good night.
You too, Bill.
You too, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good night.
Stephanie, why don't you go?
Yeah, nothing, big happening, just, same old, same old. The school tax bills are out and, last year we had more phone traffic than we did this year, which is interesting, and that's okay with me because we didn't have a lot this year. I hope January will be as smooth. We only had one item that we reported to the building inspector that was done without a permit. And, we're still working in the field, so we'll actually continue that until the snow gets too deep to measure what's out there. So, all is well.
Okay, anybody have anything for Stephanie?
No, I just wanted to thank her for all the, research you did on all the short-term rentals and stuff.
Oh, good.
You had a lot of stuff for us to read,
I had a
Yes.
lot of stuff.
so thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm happy
It
to
was
do it.
great, it was great reading.
That white paper is one of the best things.
It
It's
is.
a little bit meaty, but it's it was really beautifully done.
Have you enrolled yet into building inspector classes?
Next week.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have anything else for Stephanie at this point? Okay, under building and grounds, well, first off, before that, our building inspector, you did receive a written report, from him up through last Friday. Along that note, he has been monitoring the situation we've had with the rat problem on Main Street. And apparently the restaurant owner has hired a exterminator. And it seems from everything that I've heard that things are doing better down there. He was there again this Friday, I guess, and checked that out again and said his report was that everything, it's in his written report, but as of Friday, he said that things were looking better, so I assume it's making a difference, hopefully. I guess Denise, do you want to go? You
Sure.
need to get out of here. We got your written report, but I see you're here, so.
Yeah, I sent it via email this morning, so I apologize for that. It's a little bit late, but pretty much we winterized the main barn where events are held a little bit early, about a week early, just because Kurt has left for a while. Main care will still have to shut the gas in the kitchen, but the water is off in there, so we're pretty much done with the events. Still cleanup to do. We got to get stuff back inside the barn and do some work in some of the gardens before winter hits. We've been planting some bulbs with Girl Scouts. I think I sent this in my email that there was a Roxbury Historic Preservation Committee meeting scheduled for this Friday, which I guess we're going to need to cancel because we won't have a quorum because many of them cannot attend. So that's kind of new to me as far as what we need to do as far as notice. I mean,
I'll send it to the paper tomorrow.
yeah,
That's what I put in the email.
is there anything else I need to do for that, or do I need to like show up and sort of have the meeting without anyone, or
No,
I just am
if they're
uncertain.
canceling it, you don't show up.
Yeah, just cancel it.
I just want to make sure of that. Steve Walker was at the barn. I think someone had spoken to him. I tried to call him myself, but he did some work on one of the doors, and there are two other doors that he looked at them and he sees kind of what's going on with them, but he'll do them when he gets a chance, kind of thing. So that's kind of good. I guess the kitchen contract is still kind of up in the air. I'm not exactly sure, what else to do there. I sent, the one meeting when they asked me to send that old contract that we had along with our guidelines, and I did so, but I still haven't heard back on that. And I think the last thing I wanted to ask about was the document that had gotten emailed. It might have been in the last few days about the water in the park.
Oh,
The
yeah.
stream project,
Yeah.
yes,
So I guess that's a no-go for this fall.
it is.
Is there anything that we need to do to make sure that that happens in the spring? Is I guess what
We did get a response back from the DEC. I've spoken with Ben Dates from CWC a couple times about this. The response we got from the DEC, they shut off any work in the streams as of the end of September due to trout spawning.
Right.
Those streams are considered trout spawning streams, so they we had actually requested an extension to see if they would allow us to work in the streams in the next few weeks, should they issue the permit. And they reviewed the whole thing, and again, since we didn't make the application for the actual permit until August, they felt that at this point it wasn't worth risking the trout spawning. So they denied our request for an extension. What our plan is at this point is, they did also leave the door open that normally we would not be able to get back in the streams until June. But they did in their letter leave, I think you guys got a copy of that letter. They left the door open in the fact that we may be able to get in there in April sometime earlier, as soon as the weather permits. And they may allow us to do that. So we're gonna keep after them and try to get it done.
So when you say we're gonna keep after them,
Well, we
I just wanna
can't,
make sure, like, if I need to be doing something, because even, June would be better than letting it go all next summer,
right.
I
And
think
the-
June gives it time to dry, once we
Yeah.
hit those hot summer days.
I think that we've got, the Soil and Water Conservation is the one that actually sponsored the permit and helped us put the permit together. So they will manage working with the DEC to try to get the permit reactivated again for the spring. And, we'll need you to coordinate probably with them as far as when we decide to do the work. But at this point, I think it's gonna have to come from Soil and Water Conservation and this DEC as to when we can get back in there to go. We hope to keep after them through the winter and try to have everything lined up so that we can do it in the spring. I think it's gonna probably be, whether they let us in there earlier than the normal June, stream work time is gonna depend a lot on the weather and the water levels and things like that, if they'll allow us to be in there, so. So at this point, I guess it's kind of a waiting game. We're definitely not gonna get in there this fall, so hopefully we'll be able to do it earlier in the spring. And we'll keep after them and see what we can do with it.
So what are we doing about the contract? Are we gonna follow up with Kevin? Cause the last time he had that, right, Denise?
Yeah, I had emailed him that one that had been developed.
Oh, the contract for the
the
kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different
Yeah.
issue, okay.
That's
Yeah.
never been
Yeah,
finalized.
right, and that's something we need to get finalized, between now and when we reopen again next
Yeah.
year.
Definitely.
So we'll keep after that with Kevin. Lindsay, you're still on there. Maybe you wanna make a note of that this Kirkside contract, I think we've been back and forth several times with Kevin, and I think he was okay with the last version that was written.
I don't know if he'd looked at it.
I'm
It
not
sounded
sure
like
he did.
hadn't
He-
seen it and all that stuff. so.
There were a lot of things that were okay. It's just that our guidelines had not been added to it that we came up with.
Okay.
Um,
Do you want me to have, Lindsay, do you want me to have Denise get in touch with you directly, and maybe the two of you can work through this?
Yeah, that would be great. Send me a copy, so I'll make sure and touch base with Kevin to make sure that it's all squared away.
Sound good?
Awesome, thanks.
Anything else for Kirkside Park that we have? Denise, I did wanna say you did a great job this year. Looks
It's a
like
busy summer.
things
as
went
far as
pretty
events.
smooth.
I don't know if that's normal or typical, but
you had a lot on your plate, and you did a very good job.
if you have concerns or anything that you want to comment, just email me at any time. Obviously, it was kind of new, so
Sure.
When do people start reserving the park? I mean, do you have
We
something
have-
for already next year?
We do have some already. July is looking busy already. I feel like last year, of course, was busier. It was booked farther ahead, but that was a lot of reschedules, just because of COVID. So they'll start calling.
Yeah.
We have I don't know. We have a few family
Got it.
reunions, weddings, and some graduation parties already for next year. So
Very good.
Okay, building and grounds, first off, I did wanna mention, we discovered a roof leak in the Midrocks building. It was taken care of fairly quickly, but I was up there one day with one of the contractors, and we realized it was a day when it was raining. And we realized that there was some water coming in the back, one of the back offices, and this roof was just replaced about 2 years ago. So I got a little contractor that did the work, and he was able to get some guys right up there the next morning and fix it. But what had happened is some of the shingles had blown off on the back side of the roof where the wind was blowing. We did have a few roof or ceiling tiles damaged, but other than that, there was no real damage. And I kicked the heat up in there for a while to dry it out, which was good. Also, under building and grounds, we received a letter from the Western Catskills Revitalization concerning the Civic Center. There is an issue. Apparently, they had an engineer involved. They've had some problems with moisture in the basement and in the floors in the back room of the building. And it looks like the back driveway is high enough that it's causing allowing water to get in to the back of the building. So they're gonna be looking to make some repairs to the building. We're gonna have to coordinate with them as far as what needs to be done back there. Ed, you probably are.
I went down today and
You're probably more familiar with that than anybody.
I've been looking, I looked around on the back side. And a lot of what I can see is they're letting, how weeds grow up between the building and the pavement.
Yeah.
And, that's just holding the water from being able to flow.
And it's letting it get in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't, this picture doesn't really show it.
It's too dark.
Yeah, like over here, there's a tree they cut down, and it's going there. And here there's a whole wall there, you can see the graves there.
Yeah.
There's a clump of crap there, which, holds the water from running out.
And is that
I mean,
actually town
I don't
property,
think,
right to the back of the building, or?
I don't know, that's what they own the building and we own the property?
That's a good question. Diane, do you know anything about how that works as far as ownership on that?
But I mean,
It was way before me.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it was before Raleigh, yeah, and, but, these windows that they're showing are right,
Yeah,
they're right on the ground.
and I know
mean,
they're actually
and
sub-level
they've
apartments.
been, it's been what, like 30 years,
Yeah,
actually 40. Yeah, 81. Well, this didn't happen in 81, but 35 years anyway, and well, you take pine wood or whatever and put it on the ground, what's it gonna do? And, it's green where, the mildew but, I don't think, we haven't paved or anything back there, so nothing
haven't
has-
changed any
nothing has
pavement levels,
changed
yeah.
with,
right.
with anything other than, like I said, I can see where, along the building itself is, clumps of grass and weeds and.
Do you want to, Ed, and I'm glad to go with you, maybe set up a time we can meet with that engineer out there and take a look at that? Just see what, I mean, I'm not sure what responsibility the town
Yeah,
has for
that's,
those repairs.
yeah, I wasn't quite sure with, and as far as he's talking about the moisture in the building and stuff, well, they're showing he's, running.
I think there's other issues that are causing
Yeah.
some of this problem. It's not just the thing, but I think that was one part of it they wanted us to look into, so.
As far as, the dryer vents and stuff, if they're running them in the cellar, they're gonna be.
It's gonna cause a problem. So maybe we should get together with this engineer and see what we can figure out what they want us. If it's a question of just needing permission to get in there and work, we certainly can do that for them.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, like, and then on, in between, like, where our, the kitchen is and the other room there, they build up, beds for gardens or whatever it used to be. Now I see it's all grass now.
Yeah.
That was the idea one time, they wanted to put gardens in there.
Maybe that's what some of the water
Yeah,
too.
and then that, apparently those people's moved on and nobody else is, it's all grass, but still, that's gonna hold the water. It's right up against the building, it's gonna, if there's any cracks or leaks, it's gonna find it.
Okay.
Alan,
Yes.
there's been a question about the kitchen. Maybe you could clarify what is holding up the contract to open the kitchen.
COVID,
No,
Kevin.
it's really just a matter of getting it finished. We have our guidelines that we think, we're gonna start out with. Obviously, that could change, as far as requirements. But it's really a matter of getting that physical contract.
Yeah, we're just working on final language for a contract for use to rent the kitchen. I also might add, it is now closed for the season. We've already winterized the kitchen and the building, so there'll be no more use of it anyway until next spring now at this point. So in the meantime, we're working to try to finalize this use contract for people that are gonna use the kitchen and have that in place for next spring when we reopen. So. And it was used, I believe, several times, Denise, for caterers used it some this winter for weddings.
We had a couple, yeah.
So it's been used anyway. But we're trying to get together a better contract for people that wanna come in and use it, and we hope to have that in place for next summer. Okay, I'm sorry, Ed.
Just one more thing on it. Here, the letters from that Maureen Kimmelman. Should we call her? And she said call
She's the
her.
one who oversees that building for them.
What's that for the
Maureen
Yeah.
is the one that oversees
Western
that building
Catskills?
for them,
Alright.
I think.
Should I contact her to see?
Sure,
Through the
And
engineer.
then,
yeah. And then, as I said, I'm happy to meet with you as well, with the engineer or whoever else from the committee. We can take a look at it and
like I said, I don't really see why.
try to get an idea what this guy's, what they need us to do or whatever, as far as whether it's just
By
permission
the
or.
sounds of it, a lot of it underneath there is driveway and stuff. It's, you
Yeah.
take an old building, you
Well, I think they're looking into what the structural changes, but that's not on us. That would be the Civic Center to do that work, so.
okay.
Okay,
So what is is Midrox on here? I don't know if it's on here to talk about, but what's it went out for bids, right?
yes,
construction.
well, we had a bit of a change. We did, I did put it out to 3 local contractors to look at it, in reviewing the thing, and I had a conversation with Kevin and actually Diane came up with the idea, what we really need to do is put this out for an RFP or
bid.
request for bids, I mean, for the work. So what we're doing, Lindsay drafted us a contract, which we will be putting out. We're gonna advertise for bids. We've got to set a date on when the advertisement will go in. I'm assuming next week, and set a date before our next board meeting to have bids received and opened, and then we can review and we can award them at our next meeting in November.
So it's not looking like the beginning of January anymore.
Well, again, they're depending on how soon these guys can get in there. I mean, it's pushed back maybe a week or two as far as getting started, but we are going to need to do this to keep it legal, and Kevin agreed with that. So,
Okay.
so as I said, Lindsay put together a draft proposal that we're going to use for a bid notice, and we will get that in the paper this next week. So. I was looking at probably giving them about 10 days. We try to give it in like a week before our next meeting. Does that make sense, Diane? So we have a chance to review it.
Well, when you decide when you want the opening and the walkthrough for the bid notice that she sent, I'll put it out tomorrow, whatever you decide with that. So you just need to put when they're gonna be due.
I guess we could probably do. That would give us, if we put it in tomorrow, that would give us
Well, it won't be publicized till Friday, the paper comes out.
okay, so that would give us the 15th, so we would have to do Probably the week of the 25th, we would probably want to do the bid receipt, maybe. I mean, we could do a walkthrough on, say, the 20th or something like that.
I would have the bid due, you can do the walkthrough on the 25th or something and have the bid due on the 29th.
Yeah, that makes sense, the 29th.
Because the November meeting is early, it's on the
That's right,
4th.
it's on the 4th. So if we had the bid due the 29th, then we could review it and make the award on the 4th. Is that gonna be enough time? It should be enough time to review it. There's not much.
Yeah, you just need to tell me what date you want for the bid notice. I'll put the bid in tomorrow, that'll be out on the 15th,
Right,
this Friday.
and then we would do maybe a bid meeting on, say,
I assume you're gonna send the bid notice to the people that you
Right.
already gave the
Yes.
plans to.
yes. Maybe Friday the 22nd for the walkthrough. Does that work for everybody?
What time?
I don't know. Probably like 10 o'clock in the morning.
And when do you want the bids due?
And then we'll do what you said, make the bids due the 29th. That gives them a week after the walkthrough to get things prepared.
At what time? 2 o'clock?
Sure. Is that reasonable for everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you wanna do a resolution on that?
We can. Yep. Yeah, we can do that as a resolution tonight.
Right now.
Do it right now.
We can do it right now, yeah,
Do it
that's
now,
fine.
you've already
Okay.
set the time.
Sure, let's do it right now. So, resolution to put out the bid notice, do a contractor walkthrough on the 22nd. And then do the bids due and open them on the 29th at 2 p.m.
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good to go. All right, I think the next thing that I just wanted to bring up, under planning board, do we have a report from Phil, anything on the planning board? Just to bring up to everyone, I know we've had several letters, concerning the Hughes Energy project. The DEC did issue a positive declaration determination on the project, which means the project will go through an environmental impact study process. The applicant at this point has prepared a draft scope for the document or for the environmental impact study. It's called the scoping draft. That will, the next step for the project, as I understand it, will be that all of the interested parties will have the opportunity to comment on that scope. And once that's finalized, that's what the applicant will have to use in developing their environmental impact statement. Anything that's come up in that scope thing. Our planning board, again, is the agency for the town that will be reviewing this project. They will be making comments on the scoping session, I assume. It'll probably be at their next board meeting. Again, I don't know what their agenda is, but that is where the project stands at this point. Once again, I wanted to mention that the town of Roxbury Town Board will not be involved in providing comments on the scope. It will be handled through our planning board as they are reviewing the project. So. Anybody else from the board have anything else on that? Okay. And lastly, on our regular business, we have the short-term rental committee. We did have a meeting on September 22nd with the committee. and the board as a special meeting, discuss the next steps and where they wanna go with going forward with it. I guess I'll turn it over to either Dee or Mac, or you guys can talk about what you think needs to be the next step.
I think our next step, you wanna go Dee or you want me to?
I think so.
I think our next step, we're gonna keep moving forward with this. And we have a few things that we have to iron out yet with what we've already got going. And going back to one of our main concerns is enforcement on this. The other one is, there's a couple things that we need to look at in our preliminary, paperwork. And probably have a couple more meetings with the whole committee and hash some more things out. That's pretty much it for that right now. So
Okay, so
we're still gonna move forward with it.
okay, so the next step for the committee will be you're gonna have another committee meeting to talk more about what needs to be changes. I know we also discussed at the last
Yeah,
meeting.
the last time we met, we had a lot of letters from the community members, and they had really good points. So, looking at those and incorporating those into the law and stuff like that, and looking to making sure we need to incorporate them.
And we've looked into many other towns, thanks Stephanie.
Yes, thank you.
Other towns in our region, in our area, of what they do and stuff, so it's something more, you know,
We think we need to do it,
we just
So,
need to look into it a little bit more.
Okay,
but we still need to enforce things,
right,
you know,
and I
and
know
the whole registration process,
I
that
know we
still needs to be
discussed-
ironed out.
we discussed the enforcement procedures and who would possibly be able to do that. I have some thoughts and ideas on that we can talk with the committee about.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at you, maybe supervise you.
Yeah. That was not my, that
Oh,
was
wasn't your idea.
That wasn't the idea that I
I think
had.
that's a great idea.
But anyway, we'll move forward and the committee is gonna take it over again and
Yeah, I'll,
set up another
set up
meeting
a
and
meeting.
discuss some changes that they had. Okay, I guess the next thing, we did get a letter from a lady in Grand Gorge concerning Nisig cutting some trees on her property. I think we were copied on the letter. It was actually directed at Nisig. I don't know what the outcome of that was.
Yeah, I don't
That was
even,
up by the cemetery, right? Ed?
right, yeah, it is, it's terrible the way they, well, if you look at the one tree there, the way they left it. I don't know why they just don't cut them all the way down, but pulling, I don't know if you're familiar with her driveway, goes alongside of the cemetery.
Okay,
And this is between the creek and her road. This, they left this, I don't know what to say, what to call it. You know, to me, that they stripped most all of it and they just left this one tree sticking up there and it,
well, Nisig's had contractors working on
Yeah.
clearing lines, I
Yeah.
know,
Was it-
it probably was their contractor that did the work, so.
and they left all this stuff there too.
Yeah, and they left stuff there, I know.
which I think is normal when they do tree work.
Right,
You know, this tree here is, like I said,
It's terrible.
it's terrible when, if you, go, just pull into the civic center and turn around, come back out and look there. And it's kind of quite an eyesore, the way it is. I agree with it, I would be very unhappy. We're, you know, like I said, the cemetery's kind of neighbors with her and, the Hinckley's own, Ed,
right, they own property along there
I
as well.
think there's the questions of who owns actually that road, but we've gotten along so we don't leave this
Right.
group. But, it would be nice if they'd come back and just cut that tree down. I think that way, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mrs. Haney yet, but, I can do that too, to see if that would, you know, make her feel better too.
Okay, At this point, we've been pretty much through our, anything. Does anybody else have anything to add before we go into discussions from our residents?
I have one, is Peg on by any chance?
No, Peg emailed me earlier and said she could not be available tonight. She had
Okay.
something else going on.
No, I just wanna know what happened to the Grand Gorge, the Christmas wreath,
Cover
grant she was-
application.
grant application she was gonna file 2 months ago.
That's a good question.
Wasn't on.
I'm not sure. I'll make a note and mention it to her.
It was back in August, wasn't it?
It was in
Yeah,
the
she
Grand,
was
it was
working
in
on
the
the
Grand
grant.
Gorge meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, she was gonna look to get a grant.
Look to the grant for covering the Christmas.
I haven't heard,
I haven't either.
anything about that, and
No.
it's getting close to that time.
I can't even get NICEAG to respond to my permit application.
Really?
I don't know what else to do. I have a new person that's my contact. I contacted my old person to let her know, ask if he's still with the company even,
No,
because he
he's not.
hasn't responded.
He's not, I'll get you a contact, cause it's a whole new program they got going on.
Yeah, but I can't even get this guy to respond to me.
You're not getting a guy, it's a lady now that does this. I will get it,
You
I'll
have it?
get you the
Okay.
number.
I'm telling you, the person I used to talk to was Christine Hawkins.
Right, she's no
She
longer,
has changed. Now it's a Christopher and he's got a funny name. That's the name she gave me that's now doing it.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll get you the name of the head people.
Okay.
I deal with them all the time.
Okay.
Okay, at this point, we are gonna move into discussion from residents. We do have a few people here in the room tonight, so I'll ask if anybody has any comments. Now would be the time. I would like to, also note, please keep the comments short. I'm gonna make it at 2 minutes, and then we will need to move on so that we don't take up the whole night. Denise, did you have something?
I was wondering, who's on the planning board for the Hughes energy project that you were just talking about? Who are they? That I probably should know, the planning
The
board.
town planning board?
Yeah.
I can't name them all off right now.
Bill Zorda,
Phil,
Dave Cowan,
Diane Monroe.
Diane Monroe.
Diane Monroe, Ed Hinckley, Brad Zambry, Kevin DePodwin, and Robbie Cole.
Okay, so I guess, I know I haven't followed it as I should have, but now I'm becoming more interested in this whole project because you're saying, the positive declaration, has been issued, and so now we're going to go through an environmental impact study, and the planning board are the only ones making comments on our behalf? Is that how I'm understanding it correctly?
The way it works, the way our Roxbury will comment based on their site plan review law. And the site plan review law is set up that it is administered through the planning board. Just like the subdivision law or anything like that, so that basically the planning board is the organization in town that does the review. It's separate from the town board, but they do the review as part of the law, the way the law states.
So I guess, who has the expertise in this area is what I'm really.
Well, the other thing,
That's where I'm driving with this question because, I don't know, maybe someone that you named does, but I'm
well,
not so
the other
sure.
thing that happens in a project like this, which has happened with this, I don't know exactly what the amount is, but the applicant posts an amount of money in escrow for the planning board to hire consultants to review the project on their behalf.
Okay,
So it's actually, the cost for that is being paid for by the applicant. They post an escrow account, and that amount of money is used to hire engineers, whoever they feel necessary to review the application.
and so just to not take any more of this time, but is that timeline and process somewhere that someone that is looking to, learn more about it, is that anywhere I could look at,
It's in their planning board minutes
in the planning board
of
minutes?
what the planning board has discussed.
Yeah, I'm just wondering,
But it's all under DEC review right now, so there's nothing for the planning board to do right now.
See, the planning board doesn't really get involved in the actual review of the project until after the secret process is done, which is the state environmental quality review process. And
Yeah.
that's a process that it is administered by the Department of Environmental Conservation, because they are the lead agency in this case. So they review the project through the environmental impact statement, and then after that, the DEP and the town would be able to review it under our, or actually the town would review it under our site plan review law, but not until after the New York State DEP has gotten through it as far as the
I
environmental
guess,
impact
like,
statement.
what is our planning board doing to learn what they might need to know to ask questions?
That's a
yeah.
question. I guess that's a question for the planning board.
Yeah, and I guess
I don't know how to really answer that.
I
I'm
mean, they
not.
take classes and everything.
Yeah, they do.
Learn
There's
the laws on.
as part of as part of the process of being a board member, there are classes that are required and things like that too. But again, this is rather specialized stuff.
Right, and I'm
not
saying
something that's normally
there are
out
two
there.
very different sides, you know.
Exactly.
And so that decision is going to be incredibly important, and it's going to impact quite a bit.
Right.
So
again, as I said, they don't really get involved until after the DEC has made their decision on the project. But they do have the ability to comment along the way, such as this scoping session. If there's something, for instance, that the planning board feels that they need included in the environmental impact statement, say traffic, for instance, they would make a comment or make the DEC aware that needs to be part of the process, which in that case, that's already being considered as part of the environmental impact statement.
thank you.
This process, from what I understand, takes at least a year, possibly, before they get through this final environmental impact statement. That's a relatively lengthy process. So, and there will be chances for public hearings and comment along the way when they develop what they call a draft environmental impact statement. It will be put out, and there'll be a series of public hearings that will be available for people to review that. So, Renee, you had your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to know, was there some type of a budget meeting that was open to the public? Because someone called me like at 4:15 and said that there was a meeting at 5 for the public, but it wasn't on your regular site, it was on Facebook. Was there a meeting?
No, it was advertised even on our website.
Oh, it
And
was,
it was advertised in the paper. It was for the budget workshop.
okay,
It was on the 5th.
okay,
The budget workshop basically is a meeting that the board has before every budget process to work with our bookkeeper to work through some of the elements of the budget, so we can put out a draft budget that everybody understands. And that was a meeting we had on the 5th, which we did here at the town hall.
okay. I still think, I had brought this up before, but I still think it would be helpful to come up with a couple of really no money or little money, other ways besides the internet and Facebook, because I think so many people aren't aware of what's going on.
Well, it's any public meeting is published in the newspaper, as this was.
It's on the front
And in
window.
the
It's
window.
also in the window in the town hall. And actually, recently we've added the posting everything to the website. That never was done as much in the past few
No,
years.
all notices were put on the website.
Yeah, so all notices are put on the website.
But I was just saying for people who don't use,
As
Newspaper.
as far as Facebook goes, Roxbury does not have a public Facebook page at this point. We are considering it, but we don't have.
well,
that
like,
yet, so.
for example, Peg said that she put all her stuff on Facebook. So,
Well, that's
if-
not an official notice from the town.
right,
So
but it was about her making a grant, blah, blah.
that's not to do with it. That's the Kirkside project. It's a Mark project. That's not part of the town of Roxbury. I
Okay.
believe that's what Peg's been talking with on that. All right.
I have not seen anything about
I
this
think
on
she's talking about the
Internet.
downtown revitalization.
Yes.
So
Oh.
that is the town of Roxbury, I believe.
Yeah, it was when she had a Zoom meeting on.
Oh, she had a Zoom
Sunday or
meeting, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
But that was not a town board meeting. It
no,
was not
no, it had
published.
nothing to do with town, it was
No, it
something
had,
she did.
that was something privately done.
Mhm.
That's part of people.
No, but it was,
Mark
what
Rivers.
she's saying is it was for a town grant.
Great.
Right,
Mhm.
it was, but it wasn't an official public hearing about a town grant either. It was working session.
Yeah, anyway, I just
That's a
think,
question for an attorney, not me.
no, I just think it would be, I think more people would get to know things if there were other vendors, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else from the room have any comments? Frank?
Happened to pick up this Catskill Country a few days ago. And looking in it, they talk about electric vehicle charging stations. And there's one in Roxbury listed at Green Lots Charging Station, Hillcrest Drive. But we have one right here by the parking lot,
Yes.
and that's not in here.
Yes, and I've raised that question with the people that do ours, and I don't know why that's not the
Okay,
case.
well, I just thought it was something that
Yeah,
would be,
yeah, there is one up at the yoga center on Hillcrest Drive as well, and that is published, but the one that we have here in the parking lot is not included for some reason.
I don't know how to
So,
get involved with doing that, but I think it would
Actually-
be a good thing to do.
I posed that question to the girl that helped us put together the application and put that station in, and I don't know the answer to that,
Can I also,
but it is a very good point.
can I also comment on the Hughes project?
Sure.
This is not only a Roxbury issue. Yes, with the regulations and everything, it's a Roxbury issue. However, all of the towns around here, Stamford, Prattsville, Roxbury, Arkville, all the main streets that all this crap is gonna come up through, it's gonna be an issue. And number two, these people are taking no responsibility for the trucking. Because they've clearly said in all the meetings that I've been to, that's all contracted out. So if there are issues there where their trucks are dripping liquid or other issues, the trailers are not covered adequately or whatever, all the towns are gonna be involved with this. So personally, I think the town ought to get in touch with other towns and ask them to help support us kill this project, period. Because this project will do nothing to enhance this town and this entire area here. It is a negative thing, period. And these so-called 50 jobs they're gonna bring, you ask any of the farmers around here how easy it is for them to get people to come help milk cows. And that's not that bad a job, because I did it when I was young. Okay? However, when you're dealing with garbage every day of your work thing, I don't see it as a positive for the community, and I think we all ought to work on fighting this and killing it, period.
Well, as I stated earlier, this process at this point is being handled through the New York State DEC. We are not in a position or are not the agency that will be making those decisions. That's going to be made through the DEC initially. And the town board will not even get involved in a review of the project until it becomes a site plan review. So at this point, your points are well taken. They need to go to the DEC as far as comments. I don't disagree with a lot of what you said, but as I said, it's got to go. The comments need to go through the DEC.
Okay.
You're saying it ends with the town board, whatever they decide?
No,
The town's board has never been involved in the
No,
decision making on this
the planning.
process.
The planning
It's
board.
the way our site plan review law is set up. The review goes by our planning board. That's what they're charged with doing. If they make a positive decision to allow it to go forward, and it becomes a lawsuit, then the town board would get involved in that part of it. But otherwise, we would not be involved in the decision making. It's being handled by
How
our
about
planning
the general
board
population?
and by their experts that they hire to go through it. That's their charge with the town. So.
I guess legally we are not involved, is what you're saying.
As a
Or
planning, as a
the-
town
the
board,
town board is not, but should we be involved? Is what I'm asking
well,
myself. Like, should we be
We-
getting involved and trying to be a little more proactive with, helping the planning board gather information, or, becoming educated ourselves, or whatever it may be.
well, I think at this point, the planning board needs to have the ability to do their job. That's what they were appointed for by the town board. And the job is really theirs to go through initially on this project. And as they get into their review, which could very likely be more than a year down the road before they even get a chance to review this thing. So it's not something that we as a town board can review or comment on at this point. Individually, everybody has the right to do whatever they want with the public hearings that are coming up, and there will be several that the DEC will hold for the environmental or the seeker process.
I think the DEC is the one that has to hear
Yes,
everybody's gripe.
exactly.
They have to come, they're the ones gonna make a major decision. So comments, letters need to go to the DEC.
That's correct.
They
Well, the
have to go
planning
there.
board is also getting all the copies
Yeah.
of the letters and
Yes.
emails that we get here, so.
So can the DEC kill it?
Oh, hell, yeah. In a
Absolutely.
heart- in a
They have
heartbeat.
the final say in the environmental impact statement process, as far as I understand.
As far as the letters I've written or seen, that's what DEC has to say. And it's like with anything DEC, then it's gonna. Well, probably.
It's
Yeah, you gotta put the garbage somewhere.
true. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make a comment here? Otherwise, I'm gonna open up to the Zoom people. Hearing none, we are going to Zoom. Jessica, how many do you have for comments? And I'll let you take over from here.
I have several, and a couple of comments to read from people that could not stay, but I'll do that in the order that I got them. So Robin, you're the first one to speak right now.
Hey guys, and thank you for letting me speak. I would like to request that the board hold a dedicated meeting to discuss the proposed used energy waste facility. While I understand what you're saying, that the board has decided to follow the recommendations from the DEC, I think it's important for this board to hear from its constituents. And we would also like to hear from you, the members of the board, about this proposal. This project has the potential to alter the very nature of life in our area. It's really important. And if the board wishes to insert itself in this proposal, it can by issuing a statement saying that they don't want it. We don't want it. So I think it's really important. I would really, really like the board to hold a meeting on this and hear from its residents.
I guess the answer to that is at this point is that I don't think we're in a position to do that because, again, it is not in front of us to make a decision on. It is in front of our planning board to make a decision. When it gets to the site plan review, there are required hearings that will happen then, and that's when that will be the time to address that. Next.
I have another follow-up to that, and that is the letter or the update that you have on the site on your Roxbury website. It was posted, but it doesn't really fairly reflect the situation with the DEC. It's just their comments. I would respectfully request that the board at least post the DEC declared positive declaration status, which requires an environmental review. So citing adverse impacts such as excessive traffic, noise, odor, and water pollution.
Robin, I think that is posted on the website. I believe we put the entire notice from the DEC as we received it. We posted that to the website.
Okay, and what about the letters from Catskill Mountain Keepers and the Don't Trash the Catskills organization, because it looks very one-sided when you have the Hughes Corporation up there. And if you are taking yourself totally out of this equation, which I think is wrong-headed, but okay, that's what you're saying you're doing, then the site should be at least as equal and fair as possible.
Well, again, Robin, we are not taking ourselves totally out of this equation. I need to make this clear one more time, and this will be the last time I comment on this tonight. We are not taking ourselves out of the equation. As a town board, we do not review this project until it has been vetted through the DEC and the DEP. Our comments do not go into this thing until we get into the planning board. And the planning board will review it as an agency for the town board. They're appointed by the town board. They are the town of Roxbury. They will review it when it is their turn to review the project. As I said, anybody on the town board or in the town is welcome to comment anytime they want at the public hearings for the DEP or the DEC or the DEP if they hold a meeting. And I don't know that they will or not. Once again, this is the last I'm going to say of this. Moving on to the next comments, please.
Alan, with that, I mean, she's referencing any letters that anyone has sent. Do you want those put on the website?
Unless they're directed directly to the town board as reference, I believe that they need to go to those comments need to go to the DEC. We're not an agency that's reviewing
No,
this
I've already
process.
gone that route with Kevin. He says I'm not to send those to DEC. I'm just asking if you want them on the website. Kevin had referenced that they can be foiled by anyone.
I mean, I'm. How does the rest of the board feel about posting any letters that we see receiving comments of this on the website? I
Why
have
not?
no problem with it.
Post them.
Put them up there. That's what they want.
Will the planning board even be in the equation if the DEC says no?
No.
So the only way it's getting to the planning board if the DEC approves it.
That's what we've been
So I
trying to
feel
say.
like we're in a little bit of danger of being, at the very last minute, then called on to do all this research. We're small. We don't have the resources of a big city and those areas of expertise. So I would have to agree a little bit with what Robin was saying as far as it might be more responsible to sort of try to get involved at least a little.
I'm going to
before
direct.
it's too late. So
I'm going to direct this to Lindsay Dodd, our attorney. She's on the call. Lindsay, maybe you can speak to this a little bit better as far as the process goes with the DEP and the DEC as far as the secret process.
Listen close, people.
Alan, I think you laid it out, pretty clearly. It all goes, this whole project has to be approved by DEC and DEP before it comes to the town planning board, and the planning board reviews as an arm of the town. So, as you said before, any comments regarding the project can be directed directly to DEC. They have their own website. They have their own mailing address where you can send all of your letters concerning this project. Or save it until the hearings that the planning board will hold. Is there any more specific question I might be able to answer?
With that being said, we will post whatever letters we have received as a town to the website under the Hughes Energy tab for people that care to read them. Again, keeping in mind the town board will not be reviewing this project, it will be our planning board. And they have received copies of every letter that we have as a town board, as far as I understand. Is that true?
Yes, the
Yeah.
town board and the planning board.
Planning board receives everything that
And
we
the
receive.
attorneys.
So. Okay, moving on, Jessica.
Okay, next is Katie
Katie, who?
from the Mark Project.
Oh, everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to introduce myself, Katie Camelone. I have recently stepped into the position of Executive Director at Mark Project. And I just wanted to give a quick update on what we've been working on in the town. We are nearing completion of a home repair program that was just under $434,000 that went to 15 homeowners for health, safety, and energy improvements to their homes. 3 businesses in the town of Roxbury have received assistance through our small business development program this year, and that's something that we hope to have additional funds available hopefully in the spring. We're working with the Gould Church on a grant that they received for repairs to the church. And we're submitting 2 applications this month for another home repair program and an access to home program. So those will provide assistance for health and safety, energy, and accessibility improvements. And that will be for our entire service area, which includes the town of Roxbury. And finally, we're waiting on award announcements for a Roxbury Main Street program for rehab to mixed use commercial properties and for some funding for the Roxbury Food Pantry. So lots of great things happening and on the horizon for the town. And I just wanted to say thank you to the town for your support of the MARC project as we work to bring these programs to the community. And if anyone wants to talk about any of these programs or any potential new grant opportunities, give me a call or send me an email. I'm going to put my contact information in the comment section.
And Katie, I apologize greatly. You should have been on our committee reports under the community resources. However, I didn't see you on Zoom and didn't realize you were there. I would have addressed you much earlier than this.
That's okay. No problem.
Once again,
Thank you.
Once again, my apologies.
No worries.
Yeah. Did you find out anything about the grants for Grand Gorge?
Oh, yes, maybe you can answer, Katie, maybe there is one question you could answer for us we were talking about earlier. Peg was gonna look into some grants for the Grand Gorge committee to work on Christmas decorations in Grand Gorge.
There was finally with the O'Connor Foundation.
They were looking at doing a grant with O'Connor's to get some Christmas decorations for Grand Gorge.
I'm not sure where that landed, but I will definitely look into that and give you a call.
Okay, this was from a couple of meetings
August.
ago, I think,
August.
probably August.
We need the holiday lights. We need the lights.
Yeah,
talked
I'll
about
look
it.
into that and give you a call for sure.
Okay, all right, great. I knew Peg wasn't gonna be on tonight, but I didn't realize you were on there, and I apologize again.
No worries. I meant to email you earlier, but the day got away.
That happens. Okay. Okay, moving on, Jessica.
Okay, next is Judith.
So I had a couple different questions, so I'll try to make them all very brief. I wanted to ask again about the kitchen, the community kitchen in the park. It wasn't winterized, so it's not available year round with all the work that was done to it. And also I'm wondering, I mean, Kevin Young, that conversation about the missed contract was like several months ago, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs and people that would like to be able to utilize this kitchen, so it's like now a whole nother year has been lost. Is there any repercussions or accountability to the attorney's office for neglecting something that is important to the community?
Well, I don't think a whole year has been lost. The kitchen has been used all summer. We're just working on trying to develop a more solid contract. I mean, Denise, maybe you can speak briefly to this, but we did winterize the
We
kitchen.
didn't really have inquiries for the kitchen until sort of till the end of the summer. We've used it a few times for events with caterers, but we have not started renting it out for. We've had two inquiries about using it for a business using it to bake goods or stuff like that, and we did have to take them off because we didn't have a contract. So I can't really rent it without a contract and all of the necessary pieces that go along with that, as far as what the user is required to have and all of this, and the rates and everything else. So we are waiting for the contract. As far as accountability, they're not accountable to me, but but maybe to someone.
I will say we'll check into this and see what else can be done, but the kitchen is, just for everybody's information, closed for the season.
Yeah.
This was never intended to be a year-round use facility. It was intended to be done for summer months and things like that. It's not built or designed to be able to be used year round at this point.
Oh, okay. We thought, I guess, throughout the process, many people, myself included, I could have asked Denise to be on that list to use it for, for commercial baking so that things you bake can be sold. I don't think many people realize that it wasn't meant to be year round. It's hard to start a business if you're limited to seasonal. That wasn't really obvious. So never mind, have to pivot, find somewhere else, I guess. The other question I had was about the escrow account that Hughes is supposed to provide for the planning board to hire engineers or other professionals. Has that been established? And along the line of Denise's questions earlier, I think we can't wait till the last minute to be looking into and researching that. So has that been done? Has the planning board hired people to review the different documents? I know it was mentioned several times in planning board meetings. I went through and read them all, but there was no mention that it actually had been established.
Yes,
it has been.
Yes, there is an escrow account established. It was done when the Hughes Energy first started their process. I'm not sure what the amount of that escrow is or what it's been used for. I know that's been used for attorney fees on a regular basis for attorneys that have looked into the project for us. But other than that, I'm not sure. That's a question for the planning board. I'm not sure where that actually stands.
Is the attorney having
about $3,500 left?
Okay, Diane says there's
$7,000 to begin with.
It was about 7,000 to begin with. Right now, it's about 3,500. Again, it is set up to be replenished as needed if there's additional money needed.
What attorneys are they reaching out to? Is it Mr. Young's firm?
Yeah, Young Summer is the group that they are the attorneys that are representing our planning board as well.
Okay. Okay. And my last question, sorry, is has there been any more thought to the sidewalks in winter and shoveling? And could you make everyone who has a sidewalk is responsible for shoveling, and if not, they get fined or they have to pay a fee? That's not singling out any particular resident. That's just if you have a sidewalk.
There's no sidewalk community.
To my knowledge, there is no sidewalk ordinance in place that allows us, because we don't have a sidewalk district, there is no ordinance in place that requires people to maintain their sidewalks. I think it's kind of been an unwritten rule over the years. There are many people that don't do it. I understand that. If we develop, and this has been repeated before, but if we develop a sidewalk district and we try to make some kind of arrangement for the district to maintain the sidewalks, then the funding for that would have to come from only the people that are on that sidewalk district, which means people that have a sidewalk in front of their house. So it would become an extra taxing amount for those people if that's the way we were to maintain it. At this point, to my knowledge, there is no sidewalk ordinance out there that requires anybody to maintain their sidewalk. I may be wrong, but Diane has been here much longer than I have, and I don't recall anything.
I don't know of anything without forming a district.
No. And I know we've looked into it a few times, and it's, when we looked at the cost. Ed, sorry.
It was shut down. Really?
Earlier on, the board looked into it and it was shot down because of the costs involved to the residents on the main street.
Okay, should we move on?
Yep.
Alan? Okay.
Yep.
So Riley, I can read your message, or if you would like to speak, Riley. Okay, what Riley's message was, you want to speak? Go ahead.
Nope, that's fine. Anything that is regarding the DRI can be answered by Peg Ellsworth at peg@markproject.org. I know it had gotten brought up, so you can message her and she will be able to answer any questions. I know it's been a hot topic and there's a lot of questions going on past even the town board meeting. But to get it, noticed here, we can push it on from there and Peg can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. The next is Sakura, who could not stay. So I'm just going to read her or his, I'm not sure, comment. I can't, okay. I do want to address the notice by Hughes Energy on the town site. In my opinion, the notice feels like the town of Roxbury is in support of the project. Additionally, the notice mentions Green Dell, I guess Delaware, yet again, when the project is not being built on the Green Dell parcel. Respectfully, having this notice up, especially when it mentions the transfer station, is very misleading. If a notice such as this is going to be put up on the site, I'd like to advocate for a letter to the DEC signed by Don't Trash the Catskills, Catskill Mountain Keeper, and the Catskills River Keeper to be added to the site as well, if all facts are going to be presented on the site. Then one other thing, it was mentioned that the planning board will be making comments. Might you be able to expand on what experience members of the planning board have in making comments on a project such as this? Given that Roxbury doesn't have anything this scale currently. So those were Sakura's comments.
The only thing that I can say is concerning comments from the planning board, I can't speak for the planning board. That's up to them if they decide that they're going to make comments. If I misspoke earlier, I apologize. Any comments that the planning board chooses to make after reviewing this will be up to the planning board and will be handled in a public meeting of the planning board when they address those.
Okay, so next would be Jeffrey Marino. Jeffrey, are you still here? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Thank you. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So my question was, what was the process by which the Hughes update got submitted to the town and got published on the town site?
This process was started through the planning board where the applicant had to apply to the planning board. This is not something the town board had anything to do with as far as the application for this. It was handled through our planning board. I would suggest that you contact the planning board president or chairman and let him address that. I'm not sure what meetings it was or how long ago it was that this initially started. But.
No, I maybe I didn't explain my question properly because the update that was published on the Roxbury town site is what I'm referring to, not the application to the planning board.
We've been putting on the website.
All we have been doing concerning the Hughes Energy project is we have been posting whatever we receive as a town from Hughes Energy concerning the project. We do not make opinions. We have not set up an opinion on this as a town board. We are merely posting whatever we receive from Hughes Energy concerning this project to our website for the public to review.
For transparency.
In the name of transparency.
Okay, and is that to the general town email address?
It is on the town's website, roxburyny.com.
Thank you.
Under the tab for Hughes Energy.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Melissa.
Hey, everybody. I'm Melissa Del Vecchio. I am a farm and business owner on the other side of town, but also an architect who works on quite large buildings across the country and around the world. I have had buildings go through a seeker process, and I can tell you that it is unbelievably complicated. And for the Hughes Energy plant, it not only includes information about the building and the bulk of the building itself, but also a lot of information about their process. And I can say with a fair amount of confidence that whatever training your town board, your planning board members have had to go through in order to be on the planning board is not going to equip them to adequately understand the implications of the document. And they really need to take seriously the responsibility put upon them to use the money that can be put in escrow. And as I understand, you just said can be replenished as necessary to hire a top environmental consultant, not just an attorney, but a top environmental consultant and some engineers who can help you understand what this is. So you're making an informed decision. And I'm wondering what the process is for getting RFPs from those kinds of folks. I'm happy to make some recommendations from my own contacts or, if there is a plan and process in place, because I strongly agree with others that if you wait, you will not have enough time to understand. That said, I think new information will come out of this environmental review. So it may not be that it needs to be done now, but you should be looking for the people now so that you are familiar with them. They have reviewed everything that you have to date, and they are prepared to review the hundreds of pages of information that will come in this environmental review document when it does drop into your lap. And I have a couple of follow-ups to that too, once you've answered.
My only answer to that is that is a comment or a question for the planning board. It is their responsibility. They are the ones that have worked with the escrow agreements, and the attorney representing the planning board is the one that will be making those decisions or suggesting which way the planning board goes. Again, as I've said many times tonight and other nights, this is not an issue that's being right now reviewed by the town board.
Okay, well, we will all show up to the next planning board meeting and repeat these comments. I do have one follow-up.
You need to do that.
Sure. I do have one follow-up on the Hughes document that's been posted on your website. I think I understand what's behind some of the questions that others have been asking that may not have been completely clear to you. I think part of the issue is some of the information in that document is not consistent with what's in their actual application. So it's got a little bit more of a promotional bent to it than actually fact. If you look at the facts in their application, the building is listed as being 125,000 square feet, and I believe it's listed as being somewhat smaller on that on the website. If you look at their application, the site for the building is actually the 39.6 acre site owned by Martin Schuback and not the Greendale transfer station site, which is approximately 14 acres, which is next door to the Schuback site. So I do think it's incumbent upon you all to be careful about posting information that's really more promotional than factual. And I'm literally I just went through the 150-page document now during this call to extract those facts, and they do not match what is posted on your website. So I think that's important.
Melissa,
I think that's what people are complaining about.
Melissa, I hate to cut you off, but once again, you've obviously done your homework and you're extremely well versed in these kind of projects. Once again, I would suggest that you have this discussion with our planning board chairman and the planning board. The town board is not the one that's going to be reviewing this project. It is our planning board. The specifics of size of property and all that.
I'm sorry to cut you off. That's fine. But was it the town board or the planning board that posted that document on the website?
We just put up whatever the applicant sent to us on our website for everybody's review.
But what I'm saying is you should not be doing that because the information that is in that document is inconsistent with the information that's in their application.
I know. What are you suggesting?
So would you rather that I just not post anything on the town website and we leave it totally up to the DEC? We're doing this out of help for the people that are reviewing this. Whenever the town gets something, as everybody has requested, when the town receives something on the Hughes Energy project, this is the third meeting in a row. We have had requests to have it posted on the website, including letters to the town board.
Well, with all due
respect,
we have done that. This is an issue because it's different than posting someone. If I send you a letter and I say that, in my opinion, this is not a good project for the town, you can post that and people understand that that's my opinion. When you post something that's coming from Hughes Energy, they understand it to be fact and they expect it to be consistent with the much longer application documents that they have submitted to you. And I don't think that you should be posting things that are inconsistent with their application that come from Hughes. That's very different than posting the various opinion letters you're getting from residents and others in town.
Okay, well, Melissa, I'm gonna let you have that discussion privately with our town attorney if you prefer. At this
Sure, I'm
point,
happy to do that.
at this point, we are gonna cut this off. I will say, going forward with comments for tonight, there will be no more comments on the Hughes Energy Project. I think we've cleared everything that we're gonna talk about. Any other comments on the Hughes Energy need to be directed to our planning board or to our town attorney. I've got to get this meeting moving. We've got a lot of things to go over yet tonight, and I'm sorry, but I think everybody has said their piece about Hughes Energy. Again, one more time, we are not the board or committee that is going to be reviewing this project, especially the minute details of the project. That is the charge of our planning board. With that being said, if there's any other comments, not including Hughes Energy comments, I'll be glad to listen. Otherwise, we're moving on with our meeting.
Okay, next is Lucia.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. So I just have two comments and concerns about the short-term rental meetings that have been held in the last month. The first is, and I've had this issue from the very beginning of the individual that brought the issue to the town's attention. It seems like it's a personal agenda that she's trying to seek closure on, and she specifically said that, well, Denver, in the last call when we couldn't speak, that Denver is a big problem. If Denver being Roxbury Run, then Roxbury Run has their own conduct co-op rules that they should address it in their community and not make it blanket for the whole town. And that's what it seems like, that they're not happy about it, and then they want to just, continue regulations for the whole town. So that concerns me, especially since it was about a car hitting a ditch. And that's how it all started. So my concern is someone's personal, I guess, a vendetta is causing so many people to work on this for so long, and it's unnecessary when we have so many other things to focus on. So that's number one. I really hope that is considered, that if Roxbury Run wants to do something, let Roxbury Run do something, and maybe them be the pilot. That's number one. Number two, the whole fire situation where the Delaware County and the fire should be aware that a call is coming into a short-term rental. But I don't see why there should be a distinction. We pay taxes. We should have the same service. And it's kind of like getting to the point, it's like, why don't you just put a yellow star on our pole to discriminate against us? And that's exactly how we're feeling right now. And I'll give you the reason why I think that is, about 10 years ago on our property, there was a distress call, and the people on the board that on the fire department probably recall this. And 3 of my neighbors called it in, and they believe it was a hiker that was in distress. And when I came to provide my gator to Steve Williamson so he could search the property, they soon called off the search because they assumed that the city girl called and didn't know what she was talking about, referring to me. And so that's my concern. If a call is called in and say it is a second homeowner, who makes the decision to go? This could be a big issue.
I don't think that when the fire department is dispatched, they at all take into account whether somebody is local or whether they're a second homeowner or a short-term rental owner or anybody. in my 44 years or so as a fire chief, a fire department, and 10 of those as a chief of some sort, I have never heard of that ever happening anywhere in Roxbury. I would be very surprised if it ever did. Again, I don't quite know what that has to do with short-term rentals, but again, as far as the fire department goes, I think the idea for including them in any application information we get is so that they're better informed when they go to the scene as to whether the people that are in the short-term rental may or may not be somebody that has some kind of knowledge of the area, which would mean that they would maybe approach it a little bit
Or the
differently in
property.
their response,
Yeah.
or the property that they're on. That's the
But how
only
is it,
reason that we
how
would
is it
include that.
different from anyone else that is a tax-paying property?
It's not, but it's additional information that can help the fire department, and it certainly isn't meant to single them out or do anything that would make the response any different, other than the responding agency would have more information, which we like to have as much information as we can when responding to a call. Again, it's not an issue for short-term rentals. I don't know where that came from, but again,
Okay, I thought they were gonna review what the county, how you would address it, because it would have to go to the county for the 911 call, right?
well, any 911 call that's made in Roxbury goes to our county dispatch, 911 dispatch center, and then it's dispatched out, whether it's to police or fire or whatever.
So the situation I was in, it was a one-off that they just called off the hike because the city girl called it in, which I didn't.
If they called off the hike, I'm pretty sure it was not because the city girl called it in. It was probably more because they either had additional information that they had found the person or something else.
No, unfortunately, they didn't. Williamson came back, and me and him hiked the property to search, and one of my neighbors. But my point is, this could happen if a fire person is not in agreement with the out of towner, the second homeowner, because there's a lot of vitriol going on right now.
And you don't know the integrity of our fire department then, because they would not do that.
No.
Well,
Going to,
it happened to me once, and I so happened to be best friends with a fire commissioner in my town, and he said that that's a huge problem when a 911 dispatcher should know the difference between homes. And I'm not being rude at all on their
See,
integrity.
I understand what you're saying. I think these comments really need to come before the committee, or when we get an ordinance in place, they need to be addressed at the committee level. That's not something for the town board to address right now. Again, as I said, we're working on drafts. We've had several more comments come in since the last meeting we had on the 5th, and the committee is going to be reviewing it again. If you have a question or a comment, I would suggest that you either send it to the committee or contact them somehow to make sure that they're aware of that, and we can go from there. Again, that's not an issue for the town board at this point.
Okay, so all writing to the committee now. Is that correct?
Which includes if it's a comment to address with the development of the ordinance, you should deal with it at the committee level where it still is.
Okay. All right, Macker. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Hold on just a second. We have one more comment here from the floor.
Okay, what I wanted to say was something real positive that she should know. One of the reasons when I did my research was because in some of these homes you have 8 to 12 bedrooms, not all of them, 5 to 12. A normal house, you don't have that many people. If you go to a house that's engulfed in smoke or something, it would be helpful to save people's lives, not to be prejudiced against a fire person, but to help to save lives. That was the point.
It's a point well taken.
And my other point was that the person in question they're talking about is not that way, and it doesn't have to do with just where she lives. And if anybody is prejudiced, it's people who are making money off it. She's not making any money either way. So.
The fire department certainly doesn't make any money on it, so it has nothing to do with that. Okay, moving on. Jessica, sorry.
Amy, you are next. Amy, did you want to speak?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I respectfully understand your desire, Alan, not to have any more discussion about Hughes. However, for some of us, however, I want to state my objection to that, and also to say that if we need to have a hearing before the town planning board, then in some way we should schedule that. Again, I want to second the point that this needs a much larger discussion, that there has not been an adequate forum for that, and also to state my objection as well to the posting of the Hughes information, which is loaded with incorrect information, and as Melissa said, is essentially a public relations statement. There is huge opposition to this project. This is a project of enormous consequences. It is of great significance, not just to Roxbury, but to the entire Catskill region. And there has to be a way that we as citizens and as residents have a way to express our concern, our research, and our feelings as well about the implications of this enormous project. And I just want to say that we are up against an energy company with endless resources. And we again have to find a way to meet that challenge. And we need the support of the board to help us do that. So yes, the planning board, of course, but you have yielded authority to the DEC. And that was done with a relative lack of transparency that goes back months and in fact years. To many of us who have lived here for years and years and years, this is a relatively new development. And we need a way to find a way to talk about it.
I believe that the reason that the application was yielded to the DEC was because it is a solid waste facility that is regulated by the DEC. That is not regulated by the town of Roxbury. Should it be approved, it would still be regulated and permitted through the New York State DEC and not through the town of Roxbury. So that's the reason at the beginning this was turned over to the DEC as the lead agency, because they are much more equipped and better trained and have much better resources to deal with solid waste facility management, which we do not as a town.
I understand that, but this is,
as I said earlier, we are not taking more comments on the Hughes Energy. I'm getting tired of the repeating that we get on every single comment. We all are aware, again, the town of Roxbury as a town board does not have comment at this point on anything to do with it, and anything we post on our website is strictly what comes from letters that come into us. We just post them forward so that it's out there for the public as we were requested to do at an earlier meeting.
Clear everything off the website, that's not a problem.
We can easily take everything about Hughes Energy off our website and totally be disinvolved with it, but we felt it was helpful for the rest of the community to see what else was being said, so that's the reason we post it. Whether it's the applicant or comments from the public. That's all we are doing. We are not making an opinion one way or the other. That decision will come from our planning board when they get a chance to review it. Once again, Jessica, move on.
Okay, Robin, you are on.
Thank you for the
Robin?
question. Alan, this is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Alan, this is not about use. I did want to ask about the budget.
By the way.
Okay. I did want to ask about the budget. I went on the website. I was at the meeting, the budget planning meeting, and I thought the proposed budget would be posted on the site. I couldn't find it anywhere. I found an older 2021.
In to make the changes. It will be in tomorrow. So as soon as she makes changes, and I think the board has some other changes tonight.
Okay, so then we will have a proposed.
Robin, I will post it.
Okay, terrific. And then my other question is, although the ARPA money is not part of the budget per se, is there any way that we can see a plan for that money, what the board intends to do with that money?
As soon as we have one in place, we will make it public. We have not made up any solid plans for that money yet. So that's why we have not posted anything. We've had some comments we discussed tonight about the possibility of looking into putting some of it with the emergency services agencies that many towns have done. Fire department and ambulance services, because they were very involved in this as well. So the portion of it may go to some kind of a shared donation with them for their own costs involved with this application. We've also looked into things like speed signs. We do not have any definite plans for which way we're going to go with any of this at this point.
Okay, moving on. Terry, you can unmute now.
Yeah, hi. Since I was referred to by Lucia, and I don't believe she's even online anymore, I want to assure the people in the town that I am not on this committee because I'm holding a personal vendetta. I think that's very shocking that she said that, and very disappointing. I also do not live in Roxbury Run. And then people say, why do we not have formal complaints? Why you're doing this because of two people that filed formal complaints? That is the reason people do not file formal complaints. The reason I sit on this committee for the last 9 months is not because of the STRs that do business around me. I'm dealing with that. I do this committee now because I care about our town, and I care about what we want our community to be, not just with the Hughes project, but also the STRs. And my position was on that video that anyone that says ban all STRs or no regulations, both of those things I think are very unreasonable. And I think that the people on the committee, we are working and trying to find common ground, not an us and them, which is what Lucia took away from that committee. That's really all I have to say, but I think that I'm speechless, to be honest with you, but I'm not on this committee because I have a vendetta against anyone. I care about the town of Roxbury. Thanks.
And all I'd like to add, Terry, is as a board, we do appreciate your efforts and your thoughts on this, and the rest of the board as well, and the rest of the committee.
I'm pleased to be on it.
Appreciate your committee's time and involvement in this.
Thank you.
Anybody
Okay,
else?
and the last person is Ralph. Ralph, did you want to speak now?
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, good, very good. I understand that the chair and the board has to move forward with the agenda of tonight's meeting. But I must say that I regret the manner in which the chair and the board has summarily closed off consideration of the proposals that were made by Amy. I wish to second them in every respect, and I would hope that the board and the chair, when this meeting is finished, would consider reopening future sessions to the opinion of the residents of not only of Roxbury, but of Grand Gorge, where I have lived for 40 years. And so that is the only contribution I would like to make at this time. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. No one else is on the list.
Okay, the only thing I'd like to say in closing concerning the Hughes Energy Project is that we as a board very, very, very much understand everybody's concerns about this project. We understand it's a very big project with many, many consequences for our area. We totally understand the issue with it. We are not trying to skirt our responsibility. We are trying to do this in an organized fashion, as a town board is charged with doing. Our town laws require us to have our planning board review this project and not the town board. That does not mean we're not involved. Does not mean we do not have personally an opinion on how it goes, but we're doing our best here. We're trying to get through this. As I said, a lot of the discussion that happened tonight is discussion that should have happened at the planning board level instead of the town board level, or with the DEC under their comment process, because at this point, as I've said many times tonight, this is still in the seeker review process. It has to get through that before it even comes to our planning board. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm being short with people, but we have to cut this off at some point. Thank you very much for everybody in your comments. Okay, let's move on with resolutions. Okay, we have a resolution for town clerk monthly report, supervisor's monthly report, assessor's monthly report.
We didn't get a assessor's report.
No, we did. She just sent it today.
Oh,
We did
And
get
the
it,
clerk's
yes.
department, we got.
Building inspector's monthly report, water district's monthly report, justice court, and we did receive one for the parks department as well. So I need a resolution for that.
I'll make that.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you had in your package fuel oil bids. We need to review and comment if there's any comments. Typically in the past, we've always done a fixed price bid for fuel oil. We only received one bid from Marabito for the fuel oil fixed price and the winter blend fixed price. Main Care bid on a fluctuating price, but did not bid on the fixed price. So what is your pleasure? As I said in the past, we've always kind of stuck with a fixed price bid. Again, looking at the volatility of the fuel market right now, it seems to me that it probably makes sense to try to do a fixed bid again this year.
I think so too, absolutely.
Even though we only received one bid, I think that's still the choice to go. So I need a resolution to accept Marabito's bid for both fuel oil and the winter blend bid as a fixed price.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the website RFP is on hold. We are still reviewing the applications. We're scheduling a meeting for this week to go over that. Hopefully later this week with Peg. She has agreed to help us with reviewing some of these proposals to try to get to the end. We still have no applicants for the school crossing guide. I would love to say we have somebody that's willing to do that job, but so far, in all the advertising we've done and everything else, we have no applicants at this point. So unfortunately, we're still looking.
Was that a minimum wage job?
$12.50.
We are looking to probably in our new budget, we are going to be bumping that up some, but right now it is still a.
And it's like an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon.
No, it's an hour a day.
It's half an hour each.
Oh, it's only half
About
an hour.
40 minutes in the morning and about 20 minutes in the afternoon.
Oh wow, so that's it's a big commitment for.
It is. It is. It's a problem. It's hard.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you have for capital projects, we have a prepay approval for the bids we talked about, that Mike talked about. Again, we don't have, for some of those construction funds, we don't have the funds actually in yet, but we usually do a pre-approval so that we can get the contractors paid so they don't have to wait for the state side of it. I need a resolution for that.
Make it.
Second?
I'll second.
Denise or Diana or Deanna, I'm sorry. It's a long night already.
Too many keys in here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we need a resolution for the change order with the Roxbury Grand Gorge Water Project. This was for the valve replacement.
I make motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we need to set a schedule for a public hearing to review our preliminary budget, which would be November 4th, I believe. We want to set a half an hour before or 45 minutes? What do we normally do?
Usually we have about 15 minutes, but
Okay.
it's up to you.
Okay, we'll do it at 6:45 then.
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a resolution to pay election inspectors for mileage for attending training. We kind of need them.
I make that.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We had 3 bids for the clearing of the sewer force main easement. I believe you had copies of those in your packet.
Yeah, can I ask a really dumb question on that?
Right.
Why did we ask for just labor and equipment rates and not a price?
There's, yeah, some of them don't have prices on it.
Well, we did, what we did is a time of materials bid because the timing part of it is really kind of hard to know until they get into it. So we basically asked for rates for machinery and the like pre-set up or whatever, and then to do that portion of the work.
Yeah, then, well, I had my thoughts is.
I mean, we can go back and do it as a lump sum bid. Again, it's a kind of a project.
No, I've just never seen that done before
Yeah.
without getting a full price.
Basically, just we were asking them for a price per hour for their machinery, and then any setup time that they have, and they were quite different actually. There were a lot of them.
I just wonder why do we have the easement and we don't have to be cleared? Why does it get into this state?
Well, this particular section of the easement is something that has been neglected basically since they built the project. So there's probably about what is it, 2,000 feet I think total, and it's going to be a lot of more intense clearing than just mowing, I guess is the best way to put it. There's a lot of trees that have to be cut out. There's a lot of brush that has to be taken
Yeah,
out.
it seems like that should be like in the maintenance thing every year.
Well, once the concept is once they get it cut down, and I don't know what the reason is why this got forgotten and this one section never got done. I'm really not sure where that happened, but it did, and the work to do it is pretty substantial. So we felt that it would be better to put it out for the contractors to look at.
I understand that. It's just that we should have a contract.
As far as the mowing of it, once we get it cleared once, then it would be back to just an annual maintenance thing where they keep it mowed.
Because the rest of it's like cleared from, well, using it from the trail and stuff. So
Right,
that stays.
right. And then there's a section from the trail that has been being done in the past. But for some reason, this section never got done. So it's grown up to the point where it needs to be cleared. They can't get in there to access anything. The other side of that is in that section, there's also 3 or 4 culverts that are going to need to be added because there's some washouts down through there that until we can get it cleared, we can't even see what they are. And we're still working on, we actually put that into the O&M budget, and the city came back and rejected it on us to have those culverts installed. So that's not part of this bid because we want to push back a bit with the city to try to see if we can get them included in the O&M. It should be included.
Well, but I
Absolutely.
think didn't Alan say though that Henry Lamont wants Kevin to
Yeah.
talk to Tom Stalter?
Yeah, he wants
about
Kevin, because Tom Salter was the one that came back and said we won't include that, or we won't approve that for the O&M where it should be, and he wanted to have Kevin get involved and talk with them about it. So we forwarded everything to Kevin. He's supposed to review it and give us an opinion.
Yeah, because that will also, Becca's gonna need that for the budget hearing.
Right,
She needs
for
to
the
make
O&M
another
budget,
change.
yeah. So, the first step though is trying to get this clearing done, and then we'll go from there. So that's what that's all about. I believe Buback was the low bidder as far as the rates for the work. On Buback.
Well, I tell you, if he does as nice a job as he did in the cemetery, when we had ours, when we had a lot of overgrown, it's been years and nothing has been done with it, and he cleared it and reseeded it, and he did a really nice job.
John's bid was the lowest bid of the three that we had. And again, he's also the one that's been doing the mowing on the rest of that easement, so. I guess the proposal would be to go with his proposal, to go forward with it.
I would make that.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. The next resolution is going to be tabled at this point. We were looking, into the upgrade for Denver Sewer as far as, I believe we talked about this at the last meeting. We got a proposal back from Lamont for the engineering side of this proposal. At this point, we really have no potential, funding to do this project. The cost of the engineering side of it was gonna be close to 20,000, 18 something, I believe. So I've had some conversations with Mike and with Jason from Lamont. And it makes sense at this point to hold off on doing that engineering work until we have a better direction as far as where we're gonna find funding for that project. This is about I think the overall budget estimate was about 3 million to do this work. It's basically a total replacement of the treatment plant that's there now. And if you recall, we're already changing the microfilters, which the city is covering the cost for, and that's being done. The rest of the plant, until we can get some kind of a potential for funding or something through CWC, which may be another possibility. It was our feeling, at least at this point, that that's a lot to ask of the Roxbury Run sewer district people when we just saddled them with a whole bunch of debt for the water system upgrades that we did. So I think everybody was kind of in agreement that we put this on hold for a while. So I guess I would look for a resolution to table that for now.
Like that.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, as I said, we have two proposals in for speed signs. We can continue to look, we'd originally sent out for 3. The 2 that we do have in are under state bid. This is one thing that we did look at for possibly using for the ARPA funds. I know there's been a lot of people that have discussed and asked us about this. Is the board okay with us moving through with the 2 proposals that we've sent to you and picking one? Either leave it at my discretion or whatever we come up with price wise.
I make a resolution, we leave it at your discretion, pick one and go with it.
I don't think with that.
I did talk to Bill Sprague. He said depending on what the work is, he thought he could probably fit that in, the installation part of it.
Cool.
It is gonna require a permit from the DOT to do these, and the location's gonna have to be worked out amongst them, so there's a bit to be done before we go forward with this, but I would like to try to get it down to a company that we can work with to try to get this done. So
Yep.
part of our request with the bids was for everything to be, that whatever they come up with is approved by the DOT, so. So if the board is okay with that, I guess that's what I'd like to do. I guess we need a resolution.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I like it.
Okay, second. Mike made the resolution, he seconded it, all in favor? Aye. And we did our resolution for the bids for the town hall renovation work, already covered that. We have a resolution to pay people who are filling in for the school crossing guard position, which has been graciously, Diane has done it most of the time. Stephanie's done it a couple of times. Steve has also been helping out with it in the afternoons. It's greatly appreciated. this is an issue that I'm not sure how we're gonna resolve. I think that possibly we're gonna need to go back to the school and put it back on them to say, you know, we're glad to pay for it, but we don't have anybody that we can find to hire to do this job. Diane certainly has way more on her plate than she needs to be standing out there directing traffic in the morning, especially when it starts getting cold.
Right.
So,
I make the resolution.
okay.
Yeah.
The next one, this appointment of highway superintendent, we've gotta work, this is gonna be tabled for now, we gotta work out the details on that, we'll do that next month. The Roxbury One Water Reservoir Cleaning and Inspection that was done by Underwater Solutions was done as part of this project that we did for the valve replacement. We needed to send a diver down to plug the line off so we could change the valve, and it turned out that company was available, so we had them come in and do that. We have a bill out there for that. I believe that that's going to be covered under, going to be able to be covered under some of this water project as well. But we do need to pay the bill, so I need approval to go forward with that.
Well, that's on the pre-approval.
That's on the pre-approval list, okay. All right. So that's taken care of.
I just wanted that to say that you got the inspection report, so you're
Okay.
aware of it.
Oh, okay. The ARPA funding we talked about again, I think one choice would be, or one of the things that we need to find out a little more information about, but would make sense is to look into a portion of that money going to the fire departments, maybe so much each year or something like that, for the 2 years of the funding. As I said, they all have needs that I'm sure they can find a place to use it.
Yeah.
And this speed limit reduction on Route 23.
That was Sakura, who also responded on Hughes Energy. She had put in a request a couple months ago for that area.
To reduce the speed. Again, that's not something I think the board can really do. It's a state highway. I mean, we can make a recommendation to the state, but it's a state highway. It's their decision to make that speed detection thing. I don't know what else we can do. As I said, the water leak at Brzee, I have not been able to talk with Dave Brzee yet. I tried to catch him last week and I had to go out of town and I wasn't able to reach him. I'm gonna try to catch up with him this week.
STR.
Now that I know where he's staying, I'll find him. And you all received the water project costs to date. And I guess that's it. Except for paying the bills.
We also haven't had any applications on the clerk.
Water clerk. No, we haven't. And I've asked a couple of people about it. I've not gotten anybody to respond. You said you had one person inquired about it, but they never made an application, or?
No.
That was Lori.
We don't know about.
No, I've been trying to get people to do, not her, no. No, I got a couple people that are.
Well, I did have
as soon as they gotta go on.
Yeah.
Give an application.
Yeah, and I did have another conversation with somebody also about it, and I haven't heard back from her yet to see where she's at, but.
In those lines, Diane, we'd really thank you for everything you do for the Grand Gorge Water and everything you do for the town. So we just want to give you a thank you.
Well, thank you. Oh, I appreciate that.
We
Yeah.
appreciate your work.
Yeah, we appreciate you a
Too
lot.
much
No,
with
we get
everything
it.
else going on.
We would have baked your cake, but.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you for all you do.
Other than Dee, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want it if the three of us made it.
No.
You're the four of
Did
us.
you also want to do a resolution for the dog control officer for the budget?
Yeah, what are we doing there? I sorry, I had to talk to Mike there for a minute. I know you
You
guys.
said that you were taking 500 from the .4 contractual, putting it into the .1 so it doesn't change anything else anywhere else. you're reducing the contractual line and increasing the personnel.
Okay, so,
You got that?
all right, so what are you changing now? You're changing her salary, is that what you're doing, or you? And are you gonna put that to something else, or?
Did you not?
Yeah, I heard that, but I
Plus
mean,
500.
We're raising the 500, taking it out.
okay,
They're reducing the .4 line and increasing the .1 line.
okay, okay. And she's okay with this? You talked to her about it?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Wasn't there something else we were gonna change too, that we have to approve or no? Wasn't there?
They haven't talked to the building inspector yet.
We're gonna make them work 5 days a week, instead of 3 hours.
No.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be talking with him? Well, let's finish this up, so we're,
Let's go.
I'm okay with, we'll make that a resolution then, that you're gonna change those for the budget?
Yeah, I'll let Beth know.
Okay.
But
Who's,
you
who's
need,
making the resolution?
I'll make
I'll
a
make it.
resolution. Ed make it. Somebody.
Ed's making it,
All right.
Macker's seconding it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
and I hate to bring this up, but what are we doing with the Hughes stuff on the website?
How are you gonna keep them happy when I understand.
I mean, I can have everything here if they wanna come in and foil it. I can have everything taken down on the website.
My thing, if they see something that's a discrepancy, then they should write it up and take it to the DEC,
I mean,
DEP, and that's,
we're not vetting every piece of paper that comes in on
No.
Hughes Energy through this town board. It's not our place to do that. That's the place of the planning
Yeah,
board
I
when
thought,
they get to the
you know,
point.
by
to review
posting
this.
it, I thought we're making
As I
everybody
said, we're-
I
happy.
don't wanna ruffle anybody's feathers, so if, you know, you had said that you wanted the comments from the public put on there too, so what are we doing?
I mean, that's been, I mean, we've had calls to post more on there, or now we've had calls tonight to remove some of the stuff that's on
and
there.
that's a lot of work for you.
So I
too.
just need to
No,
know
just
what we're
leave it
doing.
alone and just keep putting stuff on there, and they have a problem with it, they should be able to decipher the right and wrong. I mean, if this one woman could do that, then everybody should be able to do that.
And then they have then they can bring it to them and say you're false.
We're just being
false
nice,
advertising.
we're just online so people can see it.
That's the only reason we're doing, we've been doing any of this is because we're trying to keep
Transparency.
as much transparency as possible in this project for the public, and
I
by
think
posting everything, letters that we receive.
I think what's bothering people is they wanna know what the town board's opinion on it is. And, you know, I have my opinion, you have your opinion, you have your opinion, everybody has an opinion. They're looking for yay or nay.
Well, I will say this officially, that we have been advised by our council at this point not to make an opinion on this project as a town board, because the review comes through our planning board. It does not come through the town board, it comes through our planning board. So we have been advised by our council at this point not to make any kind of a public commitment as a board as to the yay or nay of this project as a town board.
Right. Leave it at that.
End of story, as far as I'm concerned at this
So I'm
point.
just continue to put everything on their
Yeah.
letters and everything.
I would at this point. If everybody's in
How do we
agreement
know
with it.
everybody's letter's truthful?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody that has an
What'd you
opinion
say?
that writes in a letter to us, how do we know they're all truthful? Because they
Yeah.
said it?
Yeah, because they said it.
Well, the other thing was, I mean, with the emails, most of our stuff have been emails through the public.
I'll help you.
Some people don't like their emails made public, their addresses or things like that,
That's
so
true.
I can redact that, I guess, but
Yeah, I would advise you to redact any personal information such as mailing addresses.
Okay, we can do that. Does that sound fair, Lindsay? I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
Mailing addresses and phone numbers should be redacted, but you can keep names.
I make a motion to go.
do we have a second?
I second it.
were removed, did you wanna remove Brazil's bill again? 'Cause it was put back on there.
No, I thought,
That's Grand Gorge Water.
right, I thought,
I did not get a chance to talk with him.
We know
If you
what's
wanna,
right.
if you guys wanna approve it pending what our outcome is, we can do that.
yes, we can.
It's up to you guys. If it's in there now,
Yeah, we'll do that.
if you wanna approve it pending my conversation with him, and then if we. That way we don't have to wait another month.
So I'm holding the check though.
Just hold the check for now.
Do we have to do anything about this one?
Um,
No?
No.
That letter hasn't,
No.
at this point, I don't think we should be.
Okay.
Next month, we'll discuss it after.
So I just need a second on the bills.
That was Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
All in favor?
Been a long night.
Alright.
Aye.
All right.
Hang a little longer.
So,
Nice, we hang a little longer.
I think we are
So good?
already
I
ordering,
think we're all good.
ordering fucking pizza food.
Does anybody have anything else for the board at this point?
And,
If not, we are, need a resolution to go home.
I'll make that.
Not second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are officially done. Thank you for you folks that hung on in there during the end here.